It is over.
Hello, I'm Gary Cassidy, and you're listening to the Insiders Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to our post-Wrestlemania podcast. We are still buzzing from yesterday. Welcome, if you are new to the Insiders. It is myself. It is Jeff. Jeff, welcome, man. Are you still buzzing from WrestleMania?
Man, I am. I'm still on cloud nine right now. There's a lot that we had to process and a lot that we had to talk about. So I'm really excited to do this with you today.
There is, and you know what? For those of you who joined Abby's window earlier today, really hope you enjoyed that. That was really cool because it was about as close as a live episode as we can get without being live. We all got on and we shared our thoughts about that match, the Funhouse match, and of course, Jody brought in her husband. So shout out to Jody's husband for coming in and joining us for that discussion. And we just had a great time with that. So I hope you guys all enjoyed that. And so we are going to wrap up WrestleMania, guys. What else would we be doing today on our show? And we're going to get started. We have a new name for our opening segment. It's going to be called J&J's Weekly Roundup. So obviously we're all J's. We're Jeff, we're Joe, and then of course with Jody we have Triple J's. So this is Double J's Weekly Roundup. This is going to be the name of our opening segment. And of course, this week we are going to wrap up WrestleMania. So what better way to start it out? And I polled you guys this morning, and you guys have been great. I've been polling you guys all weekend for your thoughts, and we have a bunch of people to shout out, and as we did during Abby's window, and we're going to do that here in this segment as well. But let's just start off, Jeff, by what stood out the most to you? What was and I asked them for their favorites and maybe not so good matches of the weekend. So what stood out to you as your big highlight of the weekend?
That's a very difficult question because there are a couple that stand out to me. Obviously, I really enjoyed the storytelling in the Edge Randy Orton match. I really enjoyed that. The emotion, the physicality, really loved it. The Firefly Funhouse match, we obviously talked about that on Abby's window. Man, the brilliance of how that was produced. And I think this really gave us a glimpse into Bray's mind. You could see his fingerprints all over that. So I really love that. But for me, the Boneyard match. That match, the way it was shot, the way it was produced, from start to finish, with all of the dialogue, I honestly believe that WWE did these things so well that they have to do more of this. Have to. Even once we get past this pandemic, WWE really opened the door to something that I don't think wrestling fans saw coming.
Yeah, man, I would, I definitely have to agree with you there. That match was absolutely incredible. And yeah, there's no two ways about it. I'm sure that that's going to be a lot of people's highlight of this weekend. It was insane how good of a match that was, and just like the technology behind it and everything else was just absolutely incredible. Man, I just loved that match. I loved the scenery. I loved it being outdoors where it was. I loved the fact that they used background music all the time through it. Yeah. It was really, really like a horror movie or a mini horror movie to me. And man, absolutely, absolutely amazing. Let me just shout out a couple people already. I said this was the night 2. What did you guys think of night 2? So we got some amazing responses right there. We got Cody. Funhouse match was the highlight. We got DJ B Tazzy. DJ, shout out to you. He said just a mind-blowing, but I loved it experience. Again, people talking up that Funhouse match. And then we had people responding to us with the WrestleMania moment as well. Dave in real life. Dave, shout out, buddy. Shout out to Dave. He says, love the Funhouse and the Boneyard matches, but the standout moment for me was when Kevin Owens dived off the WrestleMania sign. What an awesome, awesome spot that was. Absolutely, man. Yeah. Absolutely, buddy. Yeah, that kind of, for me, really, really got the stuff kicked into a higher gear when Kevin Owens jumped off that sign and dove through the table. You know, we kind of all thought that match might be a little disappointing because we saw, you know, Seth end on a disqualification when he hit him with the bell. And we kind of thought, oh, brother, is this how this is going to end up? And obviously that kept on going. So great call out there, man. We had Lucas respond and saying most favorite Funhouse match, and his least favorite, which we'll get to Jeff and I's a little bit later, was Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. So, yeah, you know, I think it was great that Aleister won. I like Aleister a lot, and it was great to see him win that match. But I do think that I think everybody's sick of Bobby Lashley, man. I really, really do. And that's a shame to say because I think the guy's a good athlete. But I think that whole thing with Lana is really run its course. And I think I think you're seeing that split coming, don't you?
Yeah, it's coming. You saw her reaction at the end there, and I believe that we're going to see that split pretty soon. I didn't mind the match, and I honestly don't mind Bobby Lashley. I just think that the whole Lana thing just left a bad taste in people's mouths. Yeah. And it came out of nowhere, honestly, and there was no build up to it or anything like that. So I believe that we'll see a split and we'll see Lashley get back to some different things. I'd love to see him kind of go at Drew McIntyre at some point, not beat him, but I think it would be good for Drew to have that type of win under his belt over another big, you know, tough guy like Lashley. So, yeah. But I really hope we see the split pretty soon.
Yeah, man, I agree. So great shout outs there, guys. And there's a lot more coming. My highlight, of course, Jeff, was, and I got to go along with you. Again, we'll get back to this Taker match. I have to go along with that one. I mean, I love the Funhouse thing as well, but that's a whole different thing. And we covered that in Abby's window. Yeah. Jeff and I will talk about that a little bit in the next segment. Don't want to get too much into it because we really covered it over in Abby's window. But just the fact that it was so intellectual, mind games and stuff like that. It wasn't a match. It was really just about dissecting John Cena. So, but we'll get into that
art.
later.
It was art, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it really was. But the Taker match for me, yeah, it just mind blowing. I mean, mesmerized me for the entire match. I was sitting on the edge of my seat. Didn't want to turn away, you know, so much so I think I actually strained something just sitting the way that I was sitting, because when I got up, I had one of those, you know, those nasty leg cramps that you get when you're sitting in a weird way. But yeah, man, I just was enthralled by that from the moment he came in on that bike, riding to that Metallica music, yes. Which it was Metallica, by the way. I think someone guessed that. I might have been Daze, but yeah. So the way he came into that and oh man, it just was from start to finish, just amazing storytelling. And yeah, and again, we're going to touch on this subject a little bit later in the show as well, but the future of this kind of match is wide open, man. They can keep doing this kind of stuff. Oh man, you know, look, they have an opportunity here to really change the wrestling world, I think, with this. I mean, man, you can do things you had never thought you were able to do before. And boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, as a fan, this is exciting because, you know, again, with these different times and obviously not being in front of fans, I think this is something that they can use going forward for a good while. And even when they get back into it in front of the fans, they can still kind of do some things like this. And man, that's exciting.
Absolutely. I think they are starting to realize, and this is weird to say because they have all of these resources, but I think they're starting to realize the potential of what could be. And I even said this, I believe, in Abby's window, but I think this type of stuff appeals to casual fans. So the diehards, we're going to watch regardless, because we're diehard wrestling fans. But how does this play with the general public? Most of the general public, they may not want to see two guys in the ring or two women in the ring beating up on each other, but they'll tune in to look at something that looks like a movie or a TV show.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly how the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match played off. It was honestly, and I know we keep coming back to it because it's so brilliant, but the Firefly Funhouse match played off to me like an episode of Twilight Zone.
Good call.
That's what stood out to me, is that it felt like an episode of the Twilight Zone where you see this thing at the beginning, you just spiral down the rabbit hole, and the ending was brilliant. Everything was brilliant, but like, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I could go on for days about it.
I know, man. There's that's the thing, man. This show, there is so much to talk about. It's gonna be rough to get this all wrapped up. We're gonna do our best, guys. So, excuse us today if we ramble a little bit. It's just that excitement coming out about everything that we saw for the last 2 days. Let me go to a few more shout outs now that we're on the Boneyard match. And again, our buddy Dave in real life, Dave, he says, rewatching the Boneyard match from last night, and I'm still getting goosebumps. How epic was this match, and how more excited I am about tonight's Firefly Funhouse match. So thanks, Dave, for that. And we have Jack with an R. I'm not sure how an R fits into Jack, but hey, Jack with an R shouts out insiders. Everyone is raving about the Boneyard match, but if that's the quality of silly, spooky cinematic matches that gets me excited for The Fiend versus John Cena in a Firefly Funhouse. So obviously everybody knew the Funhouse was coming, and that this was a follow-up to that. We have Andy Quinn who says, can I just say that was one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time. First, we got the American Badass Undertaker. The production was incredible. The sound effects with music was intense, and even Taker's new theme. And he also says, again, I've got high hopes for the Funhouse match. And then we go to a little poll that I did. I polled you guys. I said, what did you all think of WrestleMania Night 1? And you guys overwhelmingly voted loving it. 54%, 26% said happy for the content, 13% of you said just kind of and 7% of you said terrible. So thank you for voting. As always, guys, shout out to everyone who voted. So look, I have to agree. Night 1, everybody kind of thought there was going to be lesser content on night 1 and didn't really think it was going to be as exciting of a night. And obviously there was some things there, but man, what an ending to night 1. And wow, did that just leave everybody psyched up and fired up after that ending of that Boneyard match.
Yeah, with the Boneyard match, I know you said that you were kind of sitting on the edge of your seat. The entire time of the Boneyard match, from the time Undertaker came, with his motorcycle, I stood up. I stood up the entire match because it just had me glued, and just the way that they did it. And shout out to everyone that was involved with the production of that match. Reading some of the stories from behind the scenes, I saw that it took 8 hours to film that match. And the scene where Undertaker punches through the window and he gets that cut. That was a real cut. That was a real thing.
I did read that. Read that. So when we looked and we saw that big bump on his arm,
that was real.
Yeah, I did see that. So yeah, that's pretty amazing, man. And this is cool too, because we're gonna get all this backstory now coming out about this stuff. Now that they can kind of divulge all of the secrets and everything like that, we're gonna get all the secrets and the backstory to this stuff, which I love. Now I don't know whether they'll do it with the Funhouse match. They might want to keep that a little on the mysterious side, so they may not reveal it. But yeah, man, it's so cool because it's almost like you're hearing about how a movie's made, and man, I gotta love that. Hey, this is really cool. I have to just shout this out. Guys, we got a reply for when I asked that question, what was your favorite part of WrestleMania 36? We got a response from Thunder Rosa from NWA. How cool is that? Thunder Rosa, thank you so much for commenting. Man, if you're listening, wow, we love you and we think you're awesome. And thank you so much for this. She says most favorite was Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss winning the tag titles. So, man, thank you so much for shouting that out. And we really appreciate that. That's amazing. Yeah, you know, I listen, Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are a great team together. And I kind of thought deep down inside that they might win this match. And it was a good match, Jeff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good match. I thought it was, really good storytelling in terms of, the whole feud that had been building up between the Kabuki Warriors and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I thought it was really well done. Honestly, I was surprised that it kicked off day one. I was really surprised at that, but I thought it was a really good match. And I think it sets up for Asuka and Kairi Sane to go in their separate directions now and do some different things from a singles perspective, which I think is desperately needed, because now, we have to assume that Charlotte is going to spend a little bit more time with NXT. And what does that do to your women's division on Raw? So I'm really excited to see what happens there and see what we get out of those two. I think it could be the potential to set up some really awesome women's matches going forward.
Yeah, man, I agree. I totally agree with you, buddy. We did get somebody who didn't like it so much from our community, and that is Arthur McDufford. Says that's my least favorite moment. Sorry, I'm an Asuka and Kyrie fan, and I'm tired of seeing Asuka lose at WrestleMania. That's a great point. I mean, I know Asuka. Hey, look, Daze is a huge Asuka fan. Yeah. I love Asuka. I do. Yes. It's tough seeing her lose. I agree. But you know what, listen, sometimes I guess they just have to do things for certain reasons. And like you just mentioned, if they go their separate ways now and they split that tag team up a little bit, I mean, hey, they held the belts for a decent amount of time. So if they split them up, maybe it's going to be better for both of them. Kyrie can kind of go her own way, maybe do a singles thing. And Asuka obviously has been established as a singles competitor. So she can now take up some new feuds. And like you said, who knows? Are we getting a change of landscape? Are we getting some different athletes into WWE from NXT? Maybe Rhea stays, maybe Bianca Belair comes in, and then this could be a feud maybe with Asuka. So I think it was kind of time maybe to do that and move on and put those belts on somebody a little different. So oh my goodness, so much to cover. I'm just gonna say again, I love the Taker match. My second favorite match was, I think, definitely the Orton match. That went on for such a long time. And I did see a comment from Daze saying it was the second ever longest WrestleMania match. So that's pretty cool. I know it did go on, and I saw some comments out there that said people didn't kind of care for it because they thought it went on a little too long. I guess I could see that, but they really had to deliver. This story was big, and I mean bigger than anything else. And they just had to deliver on this. Yeah. And the emotions in this match, I think, is what really got me. And that ending when Edge finally knew that he had this thing won, and he had to finish Randy, and the emotions of that and how hard it was for him to hit him with that concerto at the end. Man, that's just, again, great storytelling. And man, kudos to Edge and kudos to Randy, because they really showed a lot of emotion in this match.
They did. And, for the people saying it went on too long, I understand somewhat that criticism, but here's the thing that you have to keep in mind. At one point in time, Edge was thought to be done with professional wrestling forever. Then he's able to make this outstanding comeback. He's going up against someone who's been like a brother to him. And there was no other way to tell the story than to give it the length that it had, because you have to go through those ups and downs. You have to go through Edge looking like he's just completely out of it and then getting that second win. You have to go to the emotions of it. I mean, even Randy, had, you know, a lot of emotions. You had to see the brutality and the physicality of the match. You had to see them go through these different areas that kind of represented stages in their relationship almost. So to see that match play out the way that it did, I feel like it was given the time because, one, storytelling, but two, it brings closure to that chapter of Edge and Orton. Now I think we see Edge kind of go off and do his own thing. Who's next for Edge? Same thing with Randy Orton. What's next for Randy Orton? So I understand why the WWE did it that way, because you have to let it play out. And let's be honest. If you've got someone that's married and you RKO their wife, I don't care. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes isn't enough for me to beat you up. I've got to get it all out. So it played off more realistic because they let it go for as long as it did.
Yeah, man, I agree. And I do think that's going to end that storyline. I don't see that they can do anything else with this or milk this anymore.
Yeah.
I think they got to cut it off. And yeah, like you said, they can both do their separate things now. So, but yeah, incredible, really an incredible match and incredible. Man, I want to know if the cameraman's okay, because that cameraman really took a dive at one point in that match.
Yeah, I mean, that was shout out to the cameraman for taking a good bump there.
Yeah, I was wondering if the dude fell on his own or if that was part of the match. But I think he kind of just fell, and I'm surprised they didn't edit that out. So yeah, so let's hope the cameraman.
But I like the fact that they didn't. I like the fact that they didn't edit it out, because it goes to the authenticity and the reality of the situation. I mean, you've got two men who are pissed at each other, and there's going to be some collateral damage. So I'm glad that they didn't edit that out. So yeah. I'm good with it.
Yeah, man, I agree.
I just hope that cameraman is okay after taking that bump. That's all.
Oh man, yeah. Man, kudos to Edge too, because boy, that guy's in some kind of shape. He was hoisting himself up on the pull-up bars in that one section and jumped over the chair, and then he hoisted himself up on that grating, which is even more athletic. That little fence grating on the ceiling, when he hoisted himself up on the ceiling, man, that takes
that was awesome.
Whew, man. We had a comment from the community. So James Chadwick. James, thanks for the shout out. He says he loved the tag team match that Thunder Rosa loved. Also said the Boneyard match was amazing and the Firefly Funhouse match was insane and completely genius. And he wrote, because I'm British/English, definitely seeing our first WWE World Champion was brilliant. So there you go, man. Thanks, James, for that. Absolutely, buddy. And, we'd be remiss not to say for the two champions, Braun Strowman, congrats to Braun Strowman for finally getting that championship belt and finally getting his opportunity. And I know some people are going to say it was tainted. Well, Roman bowed out, and we all know Roman was probably going to win that match. And I'm sure that's the case. But hey, you know what? Braun Strowman gets his name on a title, and
right.
well deserved. I mean, he really put in a lot of time over the last few years. The matches with Brock Lesnar, and he was right up there for the longest time. And to finally get that title, even though it wasn't in front of a crowd, I'm sure it was a great moment for him. And then, of course, Drew McIntyre's culmination. You saw his story that they showed before WrestleMania yesterday, if you watched it. And now the culmination of his journey. And if you watch that, you really see where this guy came from. And I mean, we all knew where he came from, but just watching the whole struggle and everything like that. So for him to win this last night was surely the feel-good moment of WrestleMania.
Yes, it was. And I hate that neither guy had the opportunity to do this in front of a crowd. I really hate that for them. But, going to Braun first, Braun's been there. And one of the criticisms I have for WWE is that they continue to push nostalgia. I mean, listen, I'm a huge Bill Goldberg fan. I was from the day he came out to the match with Braun. I'm a huge fan of his, but Braun Strowman is that big, powerful guy, just like Goldberg. So why not put him in that position with the Fiend or whoever else instead of bringing all these guys back? I mean, I get it from a certain standpoint, but at some point you have to allow your current talent to go into some of those roles. So I'm really glad that he got that opportunity, because now I want to see him in that role with Roman or whoever they decide to, give the belt to. But my hope is that they let him hold it for a little while, especially now with all these uncertain times going on. I hope they let him hold it for a little while to really set up a good story, and not just the next time we see Roman on TV, he wins the belt. I hope there's something, more planned there. But Drew McIntyre, I saw a lot of people kind of hate on the match he had with Brock, saying, oh, well, it was just them using their finishers on each other for 7 minutes. What that did for Drew, and this, again, this is long-term storytelling. What it did for Drew is it elevated him in such a way to show that this is a guy that has never quit. It gave you some of his backstory in that match where it's like, okay, he's been knocked down several times. People have given up on him and, they thought he was done. So when you see Brock pin him and he kicks out at 1, it's like, wait, how's he doing this? And then at the end, you see the tenacity where he's like, listen, I'm going to hit you with the Claymore. 1 would probably do, 2 would probably do, but I'm going to get you with 4 of them. And to see that perseverance and then him winning at the end, this only helps Drew as he elevates to the top guy at this point. Let's see what he does with the ball when he gets it and runs with it.
Yeah, man, I agree. A few more comments from the community here, quick. We have Ain't No Dumb Blonde. Thanks for the comment there. She says,
thank you.
Has to be the Firefly Funhouse match. We always feel like we're not rewarded for being long-term fans with WWE. Not this time. That match was a huge thank you to everyone that's been a fan 4 years. It paid off so much for me. That's a great comment. What a great shout out. Thank you for that. And again, we got into this in Abby's window. So, if you've been a fan of Bray for a long time, you really, really love that match. And again, we'll get into this a little bit after the next segment, but yeah, that's a great shout out. Thank you so much for that. We have Ziarab, Ziarab. He says most interested was Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, which was a fantastic match. We didn't even really get into that. Amazing match between those two. Such a technical match. Charlotte going after the leg and everything, and Rhea really selling that her leg was injured the entire match. And then obviously, Rhea coming back and showing the offense there too. So that was a really amazing match we didn't even get into. And then his least interested was the Aleister Black and Bobby Lashley match, which, we had heard that before. We have Jay. Shout out to Jay. My favorite match was definitely the Boneyard match. Least favorite was Elias versus Corbin. I fell asleep watching that match. So Jay fell asleep watching Elias and Corbin. Poor Baron Corbin, man. And then Colm Dunbar, sorry, COLMDUNBAR. Shout out to you. Honestly, he wrote, honestly did not enjoy it apart from the Boneyard match, Ripley versus Flair, Bryan versus Sammy, and the ladder match. So he didn't really care for the show except for those few matches. So, hey, look, everybody's going to have a different opinion, and that's why we love you guys giving us shout outs so that we can, let everybody know. And yeah, everybody's going to feel a little bit differently about this. It definitely was a different WrestleMania experience from something that we have ever had before. And but listen, I was just pretty pleased by the fact that we had content at all, and the fact that we were able to see these matches and see a WrestleMania this year, to me was just really cool thing. I was just pretty happy that we saw it all together. So kind of wrapping this up, I guess, this part of it. And again, we're going to come at you with this every week, do this kind of a thing. Obviously not going to be as involved because we don't have a WrestleMania every week. But yeah, so this is going to be our kind of a weekly roundup thing. We're going to do this for you every week. I know you guys like this. We did this in the past. We just didn't have a fancy name for it, and now we do. So yeah, we're going to get back into WrestleMania right after this. But you know what? Next up, we wouldn't be us if we didn't have a interview for you guys, right? So we have a cool interview for you guys this week that we're going to put out there. And this next segment, we're going to give you a little teaser of that interview. So we had an interview with a gentleman named James Dennis. So James Dennis is the co-owner and president of operations at IWO, which is an independent wrestling organization. So he is over 25 years in the wrestling business. So he's been in the business for a while, former professional wrestler, various connections in the wrestling business, including the Jarrett family. So he knows Jeff Jarrett, and he does talk about that during the interview. So very cool. And he's also a financial advisor to various businesses and professionals. So we have an interview with James. We did this one before WrestleMania, and we're going to bring you a teaser for that right now.
So you mentioned some pretty high level connections that you made. So tell us a little bit about some of those folks.
Well, I'm backstage at a few of our shows. We were lucky enough to have Double J, Jeff Jarrett, was attending and kind of looking things over because he and his entire family are promoters as well as wrestling, personnel. So it was my thought that he was doing some scouting, but, kind of made that connection. And, we've talked off and on ever since. At one point, he was really geared up to take us as far as IWO under his wing and help us really get the brand launched. But that was right around the time that he was starting up his run with Global Force and taking that onto Fight TV and getting some pay-per-views going. So I think we kind of fell by the wayside. But, things happen for a reason. It just made us take a step back, regroup, and, find our own path.
That's right. That's right. And just to give everyone a little bit of inside information too, James, like we mentioned before, is a co-owner of IWO. Kobe CC Barlow is the top guy, I guess we could say, right, James? This IWO is kind of his. That
would be a fair statement.
Yeah, it's kind of his brainchild, and then I help these guys out as much as I can. I'm one of the co-owners as well, and do a lot of the marketing and promotion stuff for IWO. I don't want to hog the whole interview, but I do want to ask you about IWO in a few minutes, but I'm going to kick it over to Joe because I know he's got a couple questions for you.
Yeah, man. I love getting the inside info from, from people in the business. So, I mean, what got you interested in being in wrestling? Like, where did it all start for you?
It started when I was, to be perfectly upfront, it started when I was a child. I've always had a desire, seeing the guys in the ring and always thought they were larger than life and whatnot. And, I was hooked from the time I was a very, very young child, probably about 8, 9 years old. Wrestling was always on at our house, whether it was NWA, back in the day, now better known as WCW, although some of the NWA promotions are still running. But, whether it was that, WWE, we even watched a lot of AWA, and some of your listeners may or may not be familiar with the old days of ECW.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And we always, every time there was a show on, it was always on at our house. So, I was pretty pretty well, surrounded with that growing up. And kind of like I said, it was just one of those deals where it spun off into backyard wrestling. And not long after high school, my friend of mine took me over to a camp that was being run in Detroit, and I was asked to stand in as a security guard. And, the wheels and the gears were turning in my head. I'm asking myself, what do I need to stand in as a security guard at a wrestling camp for? Well, come to find out that the camp also doubled as Thunder Zone Professional Wrestling, which they were doing a TV taping that day. And, the rest is history. I fell in love with it from that point forward, got to talk to some of the guys backstage and whatnot. And, just decided to invest in signing up for the camp and became a regular.
That's awesome. I love it. I know a few people. I mean, Jeff is the second of a few that I've met, and I know some people who wrestle in the independents around me, and I kind of know that the things they've gone through and the training and all that kind of stuff too. You said you watched a lot of wrestling as a kid. Who were some of your inspirations to get into that? Like if you had to pick a favorite wrestler from back in the day, who would you say that is the guy that stands out to you as being a guy who may have inspired you to get into the business?
I would have to say probably one of the smaller guys that ever stepped foot in the ring in NWA. But he was quite popular back then. He went by the Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin.
Okay, yeah.
That was one of the people that I just really looked up to in the business.
That's awesome. Love it. Like I said, always love hearing from the other side of this. I loved your comment about the ring and being, who would have thought being hot inside of a wrestling ring would be, something, again, nobody probably ever thinks about. So I love it, man. Awesome.
Yeah, that just all goes into the conditioning and whatnot. And kind of like we were saying, both myself and Jeff seem to be, guys that our body types are geared more towards the power moves as opposed to the cardio. And, man, that cardio will kick your tail if you don't get accustomed to it.
Oh, man, I'm sure.
Yeah, and contrary to what people believe, I know you have to kind of correct people sometimes. They think that the ring is a soft surface. James, I know
absolutely.
They think the ring is soft and that you've got springs and all that kind of stuff under, to help you jump and do all those things. And you and I both know firsthand that that's not the case.
Oh, no, that's absolutely not the case. I mean, you've got the majority of the rings that I've been in are wood underneath the mat.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's absolutely not the case.
All right, guys, welcome back. And I hope you loved that teaser for that interview with James. And that's going to be coming up this week as well. Now, listen, as far as interviews go, I know you guys love the interviews that we do. We love the interviews that we do. And, man, we've got a lot of them coming up for you guys. So excited to announce that we've got community guys. Listen, you guys, thank you so much for sending us, the requests to be on the show. We are overwhelmed, man. We have so many people that are asking to talk to us, and that, you know what, guys, listen, we are so grateful for that. We can't say that enough. You guys are amazing, and showing the interest in being on the show is really awesome. And this week, oh man, we have a wrestler that we're interviewing tomorrow night. He's an independent wrestler. We are going to have him on the show. Jody was nice enough to get him for us. We have our own Sunny Wolf, believe it or not. Sunny Wolf is going to be on our show, that's going to be really awesome. We're going to interview her on her birthday. So, man, me and Jeff are we're going to serenade Sunny Wolf. We're going to give her a little rendition of Happy Birthday while she's on the show, right? And down the road. And Jeff, you even had some more news. Who's coming back on the show?
So we're going to have our good friend Gary Cassidy come back on the show, and we're going to talk about what's next for the WWE? How does WrestleMania set up for future things for them? So I'm really excited to have Gary back on the show. I know all of you guys really enjoyed having him join us that time. So really excited about this. And we've got some other interviews coming up too. I'm not going to give those away just yet, but let's just say that we've got some folks that are pretty big in the wrestling community and have some exciting things coming up on the horizon personally for themselves. So really looking forward to what we've got coming up, man. We've been really humbled by the response that we've gotten on the interviews, and we really enjoy them. With both of us having journalism backgrounds, you know, we really enjoy interviewing people, and it sounds like you guys enjoy it when we do that. So we're going to keep bringing that to you.
Yeah, man. Thanks to everyone who watched the Kyle interview over the weekend. That was huge. And if you haven't listened yet, man, get out there and listen to that, because it is a fascinating interview and really a great story of the backstory, the origin, if you will, of the Fiend character. So yeah, man. And listen, guys, we have been talking to Kyle as well. We have heard you. You said that you loved this interview. We are going to see if someday down the road we can get Kyle back on our show and maybe give us a little bit more. Right? He couldn't talk about some of the things that were coming up, couldn't talk about what was coming up, obviously, at WrestleMania. So maybe in a few weeks after this gets, goes a little further down the road, we can talk to Kyle again sometime, bring him back on and get some more great details about what's going on with him. So, all right, man. So let's get into kind of a part two of the WrestleMania thing. And let's just, I know there was some more details. I'm not going to steal the thunder of Abby's window, because I know that we discussed so much of this in her show, but let's just go into a little bit of the things that we saw that happened since last night. And I think I was talking to Jeff about this earlier. So we saw some, obviously, if you go to Kyle's page on Twitter, you see he tweeted out a picture today. And it's the picture of that mask that we all saw Bray tweet out with the boar. And on the picture, it pretty much says that, that this is the end and it's finished. So, some cryptic stuff we're getting from Kyle again. That was after WrestleMania last night. And so obviously, again, not going to get into this a whole lot, because we know that it's been out there already, and we covered a lot of this on Abby's window. But man, there is just so much with this. And so I guess we'll look into the future. I mean, what is going to happen now? Where do they go with this? And I know I mentioned my little bit of a theory, and I said, I don't know, maybe, poor Huskus, man. Hey, hashtag save Huskus. Save Huskus, man. Get it out there.
Yes.
Poor Huskus ran into some trouble. And who knows? But I don't know. Is this the evolution of Huskus? A lot of people were saying that that's what they thought. Is that what this is? And maybe now the Huskus puppet is gone. Is that what he means by it's finished? Is Huskus the puppet done? Or are we not going to see him anymore? Is that part of Bray's personality healed now? So very interesting, man. I don't know, man. Where do we see this going? Is he going to even show up this week on SmackDown? We don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I don't think we'll see Huskus the puppet anymore, which is sad, because I like Huskus. But I do think we'll get a darker version of Huskus, which I'm really looking forward to. I don't think it's going to happen right now, but I do think it's going to come down the line. I do think, though, that we will get a heel turn from John Cena. I think that might actually happen this time, or we'll see him so disturbed that it does something to him. So I'm really looking forward to see how they do this and how they evolve the character of Bray Wyatt and the Fiend. And and also in that match we got a glimpse of Abby. So I'm really looking to see what they do with that as well. I mean, when Kyle put on there that this was finished, I think that maybe this chapter is finished with Cena, because honestly, what he did to Cena was absolutely brilliant. It's all about mental warfare. It's all about attacking psychologically. And I think for those, obviously there are people out there who didn't like it. But here's what I would challenge you to do, to really think about. Obviously, you can have a physical altercation between The Fiend and John Cena, and that's fine. And we've seen that kind of stuff done before. And honestly, if we had gotten a match between those two, more of a traditional match, it wouldn't have made the imprint that it has. But think about what The Fiend, what this does for The Fiend. This makes him more powerful than ever before, because now he doesn't have to lay a finger on you physically initially. He can just warp your mind and break you down and get you to the point where you can't fight back because everything's been stripped away from you. And now you can be finished like Cena was last night. So I'm really, really curious to see who The Fiend goes after next. We have our own theories on that, but I'm really excited to see what happens next, because this just makes him more powerful. Honestly, it makes the Goldberg thing kind of make more sense now than what it did before, because he didn't have anything that he needed to do with Goldberg. Goldberg was just, some fossil that he didn't need to, have anything with. Now he's free to go off and go after the people that have beaten him before, and what does he do to them psychologically going forward. I'm just really excited for where the story is going.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and so are you guys. So we got some, and again, we went over this with that in Abby's window. I'm not going to, stress that enough. If you haven't listened to Abby's window earlier tonight, go back and do so, because that's where this discussion really came up. But we got so much feedback for Abby's window, and man, you guys are awesome. You keep sending us this stuff. We love it. But I want to mention a few that we may have missed last night. So our own Sunny Wolf. She writes, I Skyped with Jody to see this. I friggin' loved it, with all hearts next to it. Jesse Callan from Callan's Corner. Hey, guys, you know what? Let's shout out Jesse real quick. She's got her own YouTube channel now. It's called Callan's Corner. She put a predictions video out there. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check that out. I know we love Jesse for the jokes that she does, but man, she has her own channel now. Go check out her predictions. Hey, see if she was right on these predictions, and man, get with her and say, hey, you did a great job. So Jesse says,
that's right.
Freaking pure brilliance! Exclamation point. Fits with C's article theory perfectly. Bray was rewriting history, correcting the wrong from 6 years ago. And I bet this unlocks the stuff that's been being teased now for the last couple weeks. Like Kyle said, we ain't seen nothing yet. So, man, absolutely. And Anna Dawes. Anna Dawes is a moderator for Daze, and she comments, the segment was great. The psychological decimation of John Cena's past and fears was great. Picking apart Cena's character and mindset, telling it from the recipient's standpoint, showing Cena his failures, showing him the one thing he fears, turning heel, was the pinnacle. And then she writes, loved it. Oh, man, love those comments, guys. Love those comments. Jason P. says it was epic. Oh, we got so many of the comments from this. And you guys, man, you guys really nailed it here. Yowie Wowie said it was just one word, just says it was amazing. Coaster Maniacs, shout out to Coaster Maniacs. He came and asked me to be on the show as well, like many of you guys have. Said it was really good, a lot to unpack. Makes me wonder if this was WWE's plan all along to have the Funhouse match, or were they going to just have a regular match if things around the world weren't bad? That's a great point. We don't know, and who knows if we'll ever know or ever find something like that out. Fandoms wrote, Fiend let him into the Funhouse, so yes, Fiend let him into the Funhouse, so I guess a Star Trek-like mind meld and a shrug. Maybe that's how he did. Maybe that's how he got there. Did he do a mind meld on John Cena? I love it. I love it, man. Chris DeZuba said, I totally hated it. Was expecting so much more. Didn't care for the storytelling or anything about it. Others loved it, and I'm not saying they're wrong. It wasn't for me. all just my opinion, but for the people who liked it, I'm happy for them. So, hey man, thanks, Chris. And again, man, look, it's not, you know, everybody's entitled to what they feel, right? Thanks, Chris, for that. And then we have, I think it's, let's see, Miss Kuzi, 1980. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm still trying to think. WTF I just watched. Love it, man. Again, man, listen, you guys give us all these great responses. I love it. I love shouting them out because it's awesome to hear. And listen, I was as confused as a lot of you guys might have been after this too, man. I had to digest. I had to watch it again, and boy, I didn't, right off the bat, I was really just sitting there, and I think a lot of times we really have to think of what our expectations are, right? Because I think we get so hyped up from the actual hype that's being done for the match and the stuff that Kyle was sending out. And, then all of a sudden we start to formulate, well, what's this going to look like? Man, is this going to be in a cabin? Is it going to be, is it going to be another, like a, inside of the house? Well, we know they're doing it in a warehouse, right? So is it going to be in this horrific setting and stuff like that? And I think we kind of set ourselves up for things like that. Expectations maybe a little bit too high, and I don't know. And maybe that's kind of what some people just, they get to a point where, I really don't like it. But listen, if you didn't do it already, watch it again, digest it a little bit more, and then see if it changes your opinion. And if not, hey, that's great too. Everybody can't like everything. So, but listen, as Jeff and I were saying before, this can really lead to something bigger on WWE's part. And this is the first time we've seen this guy. Well, not the first time, because Matt Hardy was kind of doing it a little bit with his Free to Delete and his character. So not the first time we've seen it, but, with the cinematic stuff, this is something that they can really use going forward. And we discussed that a little bit earlier as well. So again, exciting. So Jeff, now that we're past that part of the, our highlights is, did you have anything that you really just didn't care for? Anything that you really thought, just kind of let go? We're not gonna accentuate the negative here, guys. We don't want to do that today. Listen, there's plenty of that outside in the world, so we're not going to accentuate it. But was there anything that really just stood out to you as being something like, meh? I just would have rather kind of just skip that.
Great question for me, and I may get some backlash for it, but I honestly did not like the finish to the Sami Zayn Daniel Bryan match. I felt like there were too many moments where we got Sami kind of cowering in a corner and like just running away from Daniel, and maybe that's a part of this new gimmick. I get, the great liberator, Sami Zayn. But I didn't really like it because I feel like it made Sami look really weak. And with Sami looking as weak as he did at moments and then picking up the win against Daniel Bryan, it didn't really sit well with me. I get it from a storytelling perspective because it sets up something greater down the line for the two of them, and really both of the factions. So you've got, I think they're calling it the Artist Collective at this point, with Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Sami Zayn. And then now you have Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak, and who's going to be the third person for them, we'll see. But I think it sets up something further down the line. But I didn't really like the way that it went. But honestly, other than that, I mean, I know people are going to have things to say about WrestleMania, but I think given the circumstances of what they had to do for this year, I think that it was a huge success overall. Obviously, people can point to the Elias King Corbin match and, or the Aleister Black and Bobby Lashley match. And, from a build standpoint, I get it. But I think overall, both nights were great. So there's not a lot that I want to say negative about it because, again, like you said, Joe, there's enough of that crap going on in the world right now. That was the only match where I was like, I kind of wish it would have gone this way, but I get it from a storytelling perspective. But that's really my only thing, Joe. What about you?
Yeah, man. Well, first, let me just say, because you mentioned the Sami Zayn match, so we got another great tweet. This one's really funny. Seth Jacobs sends us in. Insider's Days, he said, they call Sammy the Great Liberator. Did they plan his new look or conscience? I think not. With frown faces, looks like Fidel Castro. And he does. I mean, if you look at this tweet, he really does look like that. So, yeah, thanks for sending that.
Can't argue with that.
No, you really can't. Yeah, listen, can we pick this apart? We can. We can pick this apart for the rest of, for hours. But you know what? Again, we don't want to do that. We don't want to be, again, bring up negativity, bring up small little things. You can pick anything apart if you really want to and spend time doing that. But, man, I don't know. For me, I got to say, I guess that Lashley match, man, I don't know. I just – and maybe, hey, who knows? Maybe this is brilliant on their part, but I've really grown to be annoyed by Lana. And I don't know if that's what the intent is, because even on Twitter, the things she puts out on Twitter really are just kind of annoying. And so if that's what she's going for, kudos to her, because it's working.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, man, I really just don't like her character. And I kind of hope that if this ends up being a split, and it certainly looks like that between her and Bobby, that they just erase that whole thing and then really just restart them both. Give Lana something else to work with or something else to do. Because man, I just don't see that going anywhere. That whole thing was a nightmare. Obviously we haven't seen Rusev and stuff since. So yeah, man, if anything there, I think that one really stood out to me as a clunker. But like you said, Jeff, man, I love the show. I really did. I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say that I really had anything to me that was really super bad, really horrible or anything like that. I'm just grateful, like I said, that we had it. I'm grateful it was out there at a time when I think everybody really, really needed something to get away and to take their mind off it. Had this been canceled, again, it's just more disappointment and stuff in the world. And again, kudos to them for doing this. It couldn't have been easy. I want to just give a little funny shout out there, because I know I said this to Jeff and Jody last night, but where did the social distancing go in the women's match? Where was the social distancing? Man, there were 5 of them crumbled on top of one another. So, man, I don't know. I don't know where they're going to have to, but yeah, just a little humor out there for that one. But yeah, so, I don't know. That was another match we really haven't touched on either. I was kind of surprised by the ending of that match. I really thought Sasha was going to turn, and we didn't see that. We kind of saw her go in and kind of hand the belt off to Bayley, although she's looking at Bayley with that look. So I think that Sasha's just going to pick her spot, man. I think she's just going to wait and pick her. Yeah, it's definitely coming. I think she's going to pick her spot somewhere down the road, and she's gonna get Bayley, and we're going to see that probably happen at one of the next pay-per-views. So, yeah, man, I'm not going to say anything negative about the show. It entertained me. It really did. I liked a lot of it, and so kudos to them for doing it. Got to give a shout out to Stephanie McMahon as well. I loved her intros. I loved what she was talking about when the show started as well. So yeah, man, I really enjoyed it. So looking forward to obviously you guys saw Raw tonight. I was just going to say looking forward to Raw. We're taping before Raw, so we just saw Raw. So hopefully we get some answers. Maybe we get some new surprises. Got some new surprises tonight on the show, and maybe get some new surprises on SmackDown as well. So yeah. So Jeff, let's wrap this section up. So man, final thoughts on WrestleMania, and what are you excited about moving forward?
Again, I loved both nights. I really did. I'm not going to say anything negative other than what I've already said, but that's just a preference thing. That's not a negative against the WWE. I thought that given the circumstances, what they had to work with, they did a phenomenal job. Shout out to all of the wrestlers for wanting to entertain us and being there and putting on some great matches. There are so many things that we didn't mention, and part of that's just because it's a testament to how good the show really was, because there were several moments during the show. We didn't talk about Bianca Belair coming out during end of the Street Profits match, and that was a good moment. And what does that mean for her going forward? Is she now on Raw? How does that work? So, really, really excited to see what they do from a storyline perspective, because I think what WrestleMania did this year that it normally doesn't do is that it began some new storylines. It gave us some new avenues to go down, whereas before we looked at WrestleMania as kind of a culmination of different storylines. But I think we got a lot to move forward with. So I'm really looking forward to see what happens with Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn. What happens now with John Cena? What do we see Charlotte Flair do now that she's the NXT champ? What do we see Kairi Sane and Asuka do going forward? And what's next for Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins? Those are things that I'm really looking forward to. I thought overall they did a phenomenal job with the entire show, and I'm just really excited about what's going on within the WWE. And honestly, I think this weekend went a long way to turning people that had said, I'm going to get away from WWE. I think it kind of brought some people back into the fold and created some new excitement. So that's what I'm looking forward to, Joe. I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
You know what, man? I can't do any better than what you just said. That was fantastic. You made some excellent points there, man. And I can't, again, yeah, it really did. It really went far to set up things for the future. And I can't say it any better, man. You said it all. That was absolutely a fantastic wrap up. Listen, guys, as always, keep letting us know your thoughts, what you thought about of the show. Keep telling us these things. Send us those DMs. I know we asked you for something a little bit different over the weekend. It might have been a little bit tough to do, but we did say, give us a little 15 to 30 second audio clip. Hey, listen, you guys are still welcome to do that. Anytime you want to, send us your thoughts, man. Send them on audio to us. Send us a little clip of what you thought, and we will put them on this show as well, guys. So again, yeah. So speaking of the end of the WrestleMania, we had a contest. Right? We had a prediction contest for WrestleMania, and thank you to everyone who sent us entries for that contest. And guys, we ended up with, well, listen, we have to say what happened here, right? So we have to give a shout out to our partner in Abby's window, Jody. Jody won the contest, right? She had a record, I believe it was 8-1. Now we didn't count all the matches because we know that the matches weren't all announced. So I didn't hold any of those against anyone in the records, but Jody ended up only having one wrong of all her picks, and she ended up winning. Now she said she's going to defer the title because Jody, is working with us now on her own show. So Jody deferred. So we have two winners.
Yes. Flat-footed tie.
Yes, a flat-footed tie, right? Two winners, and let's congratulate the winners. So
we have a winner!
The two winners are Yowie Wowie and Rusty Shackelford. Rusty Shackelford. So congratulations, guys. You both ended with three incorrect answers, and I believe it was 8 correct. So both with an 8-3 record. So congrats to Rusty and congrats to Yowie Wowie. You guys won the prediction title, and we're going to put that up on screen. We will send you guys out the actual submission for that belt that Jake sent to us. So we will send that out to each one of you guys and proudly display that on your Twitter accounts. Put your own graphics on that. Stick your face on the middle of the belt. Do whatever you want with that. It is all yours, and great job, guys, on those picks. I know, man, my picks weren't anywhere close to what you guys said, and I know Jeff said he didn't do that well on those picks either. So great job.
I did not.
Yeah, great job, guys, and great job to Jody too, man. Shout out there, 8-1. That's pretty amazing, man. Only one down, so
that is
great job there. So again, guys, thank you so much for doing that and getting your votes in and enjoy that title, display it, and show it off proudly, man. So All right, guys. So as always, our last segment of the day, and this one is near and dear to our hearts because it's the community podcast, and this is your time, right? This is the community shoot. So firstly, and again, we're still going to ask you to send these in. Those of you who are collectors of the figures doesn't matter, man. To show us what you've got. Do you have autograph pictures? Do you have wrestling figures? Do you have any kind of wrestling toys out there? Do you have anything at all from wrestling? Send us the pics and we're going to display them. So this week, we got from C Wrestling sent us his amazing collection. And if you guys haven't seen this, that's why we thought we'd throw it out there to you. If you haven't seen this yet and you are a collector, check out his stuff. We're going to put the pictures up on here right now for you. Check out C's collection. It's really amazing. Yeah, he's just got a lot of amazing stuff. I can't even begin to go into it. I know he did a video a little bit ago about his collection, so check it out if you haven't, but he's just got so much stuff there, shelf upon shelf upon shelf of figures and pop vinyls and stuff like that. So really, really cool. And guys, keep sending these in. We really want to show these off. I know you guys love this segment, so send those collections in and we will keep putting them out there. And also we're going to continue with the art and the talents and stuff like that you guys send us in as well. We've got so much art from Sunny Wolf, from Jesse, just amazing stuff that you guys keep sending us. And man, we're going to post that stuff up for you right now. And we're going to end this show with, as we always do, things from you guys. And again, look, I can't thank you guys enough for this week, because you made this possible with all your shouts to us and all your DMs to us and everything from WrestleMania. You made our WrestleMania weekend even better than it was by involving us. And again, man, we can't say how much we appreciate that. Thank you to everyone. And man, we just love doing this. Keep getting those things to us. Keep sending that to us. Jeff, man, take us home, buddy. Close it out.
Well, I want to close up a little bit different here because I want to take the time to say thank you to everyone. I know you just did that, but I want to take a couple more minutes just to say thank you to everyone for your support. When Joe and I started this, we're two older guys that enjoy wrestling and enjoy talking about it, and really wanted to do something that was a community focus, but also bring some different insights to what we could bring in terms of a podcast. And the support has been overwhelming. Just looking at our YouTube channel, right now we're almost at 5,000 views for all of our videos, which is absolutely insane. I don't think Joe and I had envisioned
no way, man,
it would happen this fast. Also, we're at 414 subscribers on YouTube, and definitely didn't think that in less than a month we'd be where we are. But really a big shout out to all of you for spreading the word and telling everyone about our podcast and what we're bringing, and enjoying the interviews that we're trying to bring to all of you. And honestly, we do this because we want you guys to have more of an inside look at professional wrestling, just beyond the matches and things we see on TV, but more in-depth information on professional wrestling as a whole. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for supporting us. And our mission and our goal is to continue to get better and better every time we put an episode out. So thank all of you for your support, and we're looking forward to the future.
Oh man, absolutely. I could not have said that better. Yeah, thank you guys so much. And I know we can't say that enough, and that was very well put. So exciting to be taking this journey with you guys. And man, just keep sending us that stuff. Like Daze says, keep DMing us, keep sending us tweets. We're going to retweet that stuff that you send us back out. We're going to shout you guys out. And yeah, man, we couldn't be doing this without you. And thank you so much for for your, subscribing to the channel, for sending us these things, for, like Jeff said, spreading the word out to everyone else. We really, really appreciate. Would not be here without you guys. So thank you guys so much, man. We are just excited. Look forward to bringing you this show every week. And now, guys, we're on a static schedule, so no more changing around, no more moving around. I know some of you will appreciate that. We are going to stay with this schedule. Abby's Window every Monday at 6. Us coming out after Raw every week, and then during the week, it looks like Wednesday night is going to be the night we're going to have our interviews. Now, this week may be a little different. We might try to get that Sunny Wolf interview out for you, because it is Sunny's birthday. We don't want to kind of have it past. So if there's any way we can do that, we'll maybe try to speed that up and maybe get that out maybe Friday before SmackDown. I know Daze has his podcast after, so obviously, but yeah, we might try to do that as well. So again, thank you guys so much for listening, and we really appreciate it, man. Hey guys, have a great week. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will talk to you again really soon. See you on Twitter. Take care, guys.